Welcome to Surviving Roots, the podcast where we navigate the messy, beautiful work of healing and growth. I'm your host, Cari Fund, and this is your space to breathe, reflect, and find strength. Whether you're breaking free from old patterns, healing from loss, or rebuilding your story one small step at a time, you're in the right place. So take a deep breath, give yourself this time, and let's uncover the tools to move forward with courage. This podcast is for you. Dana Myers is a tarot reader, spellcaster, and ritual designer who helps people harness magic in their daily lives. After spending 20 years in the sexual wellness industry, she transitioned into guiding others through transformation using intuition, pleasure, and personal rituals. Dana believes that magic is a blend of will, imagination, and practical tools, empowering individuals to create their own reality with intention and joy. Good morning, Dana Myers. How are you?
I'm really good. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, and I am beyond excited to be speaking with you today. Like, so excited.
Me too. Me too. We've been sort of circling each other for a while now, so I'm glad we're finally dropping in and getting to have the conversation.
I'm so excited. For people that are just getting to know you or are listening now or are not sure exactly who you are, what you do,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this because you're so many things, and I honestly couldn't come up with the three words. What are three words to describe yourself?
That's a great question. I mean, three words to describe me. It's like I'm immediately like, well, should I talk about like my essence, or should I like give you my professional bio in three words? So as a professional, I'm a tarot reader, I'm a spellcaster, and I design rituals. But I came out of a very long career as an entrepreneur. I spent 20 years building my own company called Booty Parlor, like the beauty parlor for your love life, where my husband and I designed and manufactured and sold products that helped women to feel sexier and more confident in their own skin. And I did that for 20 years. I wrote 2 books about women and sensuality and confidence, did hundreds of live workshops with women, and sold our products all over the world. And at the same time, I've always just been a magic maker. I've always been casting spells since I was 10. I've always been very interested in the depth of our souls and the magic that exists in all of us. And so for many, many years, at the tail end of our business, which we sold and exited last August, I really realized that the next phase of my life, I wanted to be doing magic. And so that's what I'm doing now. I'm making magic. I built a beautiful tarot studio, and I do tarot, really sort of like transformative tarot sessions and bespoke spells and custom rituals. I do events, and it's just a very creative and free and expressive moment in my life that I really was very intentional about creating at this moment in my life.
Wow, I love that, and that is so powerful. Were you in New York before Miami?
Yes, well, we were in New York, and then we went down to St. Lucia, and we lived in the Caribbean for a few years
Oh,
when
wow.
my kids were little, and then we've been in Miami now for 8 years.
Okay. I was going to say, because I was in New York for 16 years and I moved here
Yeah.
about 10 years ago, and I knew your name from Booty Parlor and your books. And
Uh-huh.
and then it wasn't until probably a year ago someone mentioned your name, and I was like, Dana Myers, like Booty Parlor? She lives in Miami? And
Yeah,
they were
that's
like,
so
yes,
funny.
she's going to be doing this and she does this. And I was just like, oh, tell me more about the magic and the spells and the manifesting and the just all the transformation stuff as well. So what a beautiful transition that you've done for yourself.
Thank you. And I think that I've always followed my heart. I started my career in the music business because as a young teenager, I was super passionate about rock and roll, and it's all I wanted to do. And so I followed my heart into that. And then I was always super passionate about sexuality and pleasure and makeup. My mom is a makeup artist. I grew up watching her transform women, helping women kind of reveal their confidence and their inner beauty and their outer beauty. And then I merged those 2 passions of pleasure and makeup, and I created Booty Parlor. And now I'm again following my heart and doing this. And I think I'm a mom of two as well. And of course, the
Wow.
guilt comes in, the feeling stretched comes in, the trying to be a super present mother and trying to follow my dreams. But I also know that showing my kids just this consistent pattern of following my heart and doing what I love, I know I'm giving them, a good model of how to live a fulfilled life is to follow your dreams and figure it out.
100%. And I think also you're showing them, just because I've learned this lesson myself over the last 2 years, is that you can make your dreams and yourself a priority, and it doesn't take away for the love that you have for your family or your children. I think that's a
Yes.
good lesson to teach them as well as they grow up and they become adults and they have their own dreams and passions. And if they have a family one day, that you can find the balance in it all. It's hard,
Yeah.
but you can make yourself a priority and it doesn't take away for the love that you have for your family whatsoever.
Totally. And it's an ebb and flow,
Yeah.
and surrendering to that notion that sometimes, you'll miss a dinner or sometimes you'll be juggling. But I do think that it all nets out when they have a happy mom who
Yeah.
feels really fulfilled. Yeah.
100%. A happy mom is better than any kind of super mom or perfect mom. A happy mom is like all that they need. Um,
Happy mom is key
it is key. It really is. It
to
really is.
everyone's well being.
It really is. Listen, that way they're not healing from their childhood.
Totally. Totally.
That's a whole other discussion.
That is a whole other discussion. Like those moments where you're like, that'll be in their therapy session in about 15 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, 100%. I want to talk about discovering magic and what that means, because for a lot of people, when we think of magic, we can think of like a magician or something like that. I really want to like bring this down to like
Sure.
elementary level for us to understand, like, you believe that we all have magic within us. Like, how can someone start uncovering their own personal magic, especially like whether they're connected to themselves or they're disconnected to themselves?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So, the way that I define magic or practicing magic or sort of living life as if everything we do were a spell is it kind of boils down to this idea of harnessing your will, right? The fire within you and your imagination, your dreams, your goals, your fantasies, your ideas, harnessing your will and imagination with the practical tools that you have, right? And that's our most practical tools are the four elements. We have air, we have fire, we have water, we have earth, right? So harnessing your will and imagination with the practical tools that you have to create a desired outcome. For me, my desired outcome, big picture, is always to return to joy. Some people are like, what kind of a witch are you? You a good witch, you a bad witch, you an earth witch, you a joy, like, I'm a joy witch, because I think I'm always trying to find the joy, even through the darkness, even through, my midlife crisis, which I renamed my midlife rebirth. The magic that I was practicing through the darkness, through the changes, was always to find the joy, to return to joy, to future vision the next phase of joy. And so for someone who's, brand new to this, and some people don't want to call it spell work, call it manifestation, call it affirmations, call it positive thinking, whatever it is, it's taking a moment to be present in your desires, to sort of bring some tangibility to it. You'll see, like, I keep this next to my desk. It's simple. It's 2 candles, some roses, which represent love and self-love, some blue cornflower. Blue cornflower in, herbalism represents connection to the divine, opening the third eye, right? So the candles are bringing the warmth and the light for me to see. The blue cornflower is representing this elemental energy of opening the channel to receive messages. The roses are a nod to always remember love, to return to love, to have self-love. And so when I light these candles, it's a spell. When I sit down to work, I light these candles to make every moment feel a little bit more magical, to bring more magical presence into the moment. So little things like that Or when you're on your run, you're saying your mantra. That is essentially a spell. You're setting the tone. And so really, I think anything can be magic. You don't have to be a psychic. You don't have to be, have any kind of future predictive abilities. You just have to be able to drop into a moment and I think add, the word that I'm hearing is like add some preciousness to it.
Love that.
Kind of tune in and go, how do I make this moment feel more precious, more magical? How do I bring my desires to life in a way that feels real?
I love that. And I think it's so important for everyone listening that it's really that simple. It's all starting with you and the words that you're using, like just the fact that the way you described it and that you focus on joy, life's always going to keep happening, whether it's up or down or you feel sideways. But if you can find the preciousness or find the magic or the joy, no matter where you're at on the ride that day, I mean, I really think that's the key to just living a wholehearted life. You might not be happy all the time. You might be disconnected, whatever that is, but just coming back to yourself and just focusing on joy and the preciousness.
Yeah.
I mean, that's magic in itself. So you really just, everything you just said, you really also giving us who are listening, some power to ourselves,
It is. And it's a very powerful tool to live your life in a magical way because you are saying, I create my own reality, right?
Yeah.
You're not waiting for someone else to come in and fix it. Now you can use magic. There's a money spell over there, that I light all the time because I'm like, I want to keep the cash flowing.
Yeah.
But it's not about,
What's that spell? I'm just
I can share that. It is not, this if I wish it, it will just happen. It's
Right.
being in the energy. When I light that and I say this money incantation, I'm in the energy of money. I'm raising my vibration to abundance. And so if I'm vibrating at that higher level where I practice the five senses visualization a lot when I cast a spell. So when I'm casting a spell, I'll say my incantation, I'll light the candles, I'll feel into all the notions that I've added to the altar. But what I'm really doing then is dropping into a place where I am feeling whatever it is I'm calling in. I'm seeing whatever it is I'm calling in. I'm hearing it, I'm tasting it, I'm smelling it. So I'm really putting myself in the visualization, the experience of feeling what I want right now. And that raises my vibration. And then it's almost like a miracle, like attracts like. When I'm in that higher vibration, I'm attracting what it is that I'm dreaming of.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned attracting and wishing and manifesting because so many people get turned off by that word manifesting. I started really focusing on manifesting these last couple of years. And you have to do the hard work, of course. But people all of the time when they say something like, oh, I saw you did a vision board, or I saw that you're doing this, or you do these affirmations in the morning, or you do these you sit in silence and do just your manifestation, prayers and thoughts. People immediately are like, well, it does take work. And I'm like, yes, I know it takes work, but there's so much more. I feel like the manifesting part brings in that joy and that sort of that essence and that presence. Can you sort of talk about people who want to manifest abundance in love or healing? What is a common mistake when people are trying to manifest something and they're trying to shift their energy to create real change? For them to know that it takes hard work, but where does the manifesting come in to really help shift what they're wanting for their life, for their dreams to become a reality?
So I'll give you a concrete example of that. I think what it boils down to is the understanding that it is a combination of the magical and the practical, right? I never do magic without the practicum, without the practical. So when I was 25, I had a friend who was a witch in New York, and she was a fashion designer, and she was making me a dress for my brother's wedding. And she was like, this is the dress that you're going to use for your love spell to attract, your man. And I was like, I'm not even in the market. I don't even know if I want a husband. She's like, you do. I can see it in you. I can see you having children. I can see it. And I, at the time, was very kind of hesitant. I was like, well, if I ever get married, we can live in separate, houses on other sides of the country. I was just like independent and in my career. But looking back in hindsight, I think I was, had a little bit of doubt, like, would I ever find it, right? So there was this doubt, and then there was the protection. Maybe I don't want it. Anyhow, she said, listen to me and follow my instructions. And so she made me this dress, and she misted it with all these essential oils, and she dyed it in a brew of tea. Again, adding these elements, right? Adding nature into the magic, infusing these intentions with natural elements. And she said, I want you for the next couple of weeks to think about what it is that you truly want in your life partner. And nothing superficial, and don't give me any BS, but really, really get to the core. So I started thinking, okay, I want someone who gets me, right? Just someone who gets me. I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to justify my action. He gets me even more than I get myself. There was this idea of that my brother and him would just immediately like each other, right? So there was this like desire for someone to be able to drop into my family, right? With love and acceptance and reciprocity. I wanted a protector and a provider. I wanted someone who could show me the world, someone who was more international than my previous life experience. And so you kind of steep, you imagine, you think, right? And then you add pleasure magic to it, which is a whole other conversation and very powerful energy to amplify your magic is pleasure and sex magic, which I used. And then I met him 11 days later. But that's the magic. The practical is that I was on a dating app. I was committed. I said, I don't care how many men I have to meet, how many bad first dates I have to go on. I'm committed. I called it my husband's safari. Okay. I put on my safari hat. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to work the magic, and I'm going to make sure that I'm putting the practical in place as well. So the magical and the practical are working together. I was on the apps. I kept trying. I would get disappointed. I would pick myself back up again. I would do my magical practice to raise my energy. And I wound up meeting him 11 days after I did the actual magic.
Wow.
But I had been working the practical. And so with anything, with my money spell over here, I'm not just standing over my green altar and saying my money incantation. I'm networking, I'm reaching out, I'm developing new materials, I'm calling past clients and saying, if you love this, call a friend, please. And so it's the combination, right? It's always the combination.
Wow, I love that. Do you still have that dress?
I do.
Do you?
I do. I do still have that dress.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, that's a keeper.
It is a keeper, totally. I know exactly where it is. Yes, yeah. Yeah, very
Maybe
special.
your daughter wear it one day when she's looking for maybe her
Wouldn't that be
love.
amazing?
Oh
Wow.
my gosh, what a story.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can see in the background a bit, and you have this magical studio. You do these events at the Fabulous One Hotel in Miami. Can you talk about what happens in these spaces and what makes them so special for transformation?
Yeah, sure. Well, everything in this space, and you can't really see all of it, but there's lots of different candles, books, plants. Again, like I try to bring in all the elements. I have my witch's supply closet, which has hundreds of oils and herbs and dried flowers
Ooh.
to use in their spells. I think what happens in this space, like in a typical reading, someone comes in and the space is set to feel very magical. So when someone comes in, they automatically, their little magical antennas start to perk up and they start to tune into their own magic. With a session, there's 4 parts really. Someone shares what's alive for them, what decisions they're considering, what blocks they keep bumping up against, what old wounds are still present, even though they've been working on them, for a while. So we kind of give that person just the space to air it out and settle in. Then we read cards. Someone brings in 5 to 6 specific questions. And, sometimes people bring in a question like, will I meet my soulmate? And so then we shift the question to, what actions do I need to take? or what energies do I need to shift in order to attract my soulmate, right? So again, it's like looking within. What's the inner magic that needs to come out in order to attract that desired outcome? And then we go over your tarot archetypes, your numerology. Everyone has tarot archetypes, these sort of big energies that we can tune into and learn lessons from and activate in our own lives. And then we do a custom spell, whether it's candle magic or a spell jar. I've been making a lot of spell jars with people. And that's where we just get really creative and pull out what major themes have emerged from the reading that person wants to go home and keep working on. And so that's a variety of, magical ideas and notions and rituals. And a lot of people who come in have never done anything like that.
Yeah.
And then they get kind of turned on to their own magical power. And it's very exciting. At the events that I do, like for example, at the One Hotel, we are tuning into the themes of the zodiac season and sort of parsing out what themes are intrinsically associated with, we're in Pisces now, so it's very dreamy. It's very much about the mother energy, about feminine energy, about intuition. So next week is going to be all about dreams and intuition and how we can empower ourselves as women. So there's a bit of a lecture or me talking and a lot of sharing. My events, women get to share a lot their personal experiences. We made spell jars at the last one. Sometimes we write custom spells together and share them. It's all very creative.
This sounds wonderful, and I have to share with everyone listening. I've never done anything like this before, and I booked a private session with you next week.
I'm so excited.
And I could not be more excited. I mean, I've seen little glimmers of what you've shared with previous sessions on Instagram, and I just want to see everything that's in that space of yours. I want to show up with my questions because, I've been doing all the hard work and I do my manifesting. But I just it all comes back to joy. There's a lot of hard work happening here, whether it's external and internal. And I think adding things like this just make it magical and joyful. And I just want to just take my vibration and myself as high as I can. So I don't know. I am super excited to experience this with you.
I'm excited too. And it is about, raising the vibration. And sometimes it's also about, sometimes when we're working so hard, and maybe we're running two parallel paths, is it going to be path A or path B that gets me to this goal that I have? And sometimes these sessions reveal an option C. Yeah. Oh, there's something I couldn't see before. There's another way to do this. If I make this slight shift in what I'm doing or how I'm seeing things, then suddenly, things open up. Flow is able to happen. So sometimes it's about shifting our perspective and just working with someone else to see things that we can't see.
Yeah. I love that you just said that about working with someone else, because one thing I've started doing these past couple years is leaning into other people, not doing everything by myself and trying to figure it out all by myself, asking for help or leaning into things that maybe I've never tried before, because it just reveals so much about yourself. It really does, and what you're capable of. And I've been really big into just leaning into others and just trusting the process and just going with the flow.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes staying in the force is such hard work. So sometimes it's nice just to lean in and go with the flow.
Totally. There's a tarot card called the Hanged Man or the Hanged One. And it's this image of a figure hung upside down from a wooden structure, and his one leg is crossed almost like he's doing a tree pose, but he's upside down, and he has this golden halo over his head. And when you see the words the Hanged Man, you're like, what's gonna happen to me? I don't want to be hung, I don't want to be strung up, I don't want that. But what the card is really about is about surrender. It's about surrendering into discomfort, something new, something you haven't tried. When you surrender to it, the halo of enlightenment, of new lessons, of new wisdom that comes. And so when I see that card, I'm always like, okay, cool. Something I'm about to do or try or go through or process might feel a little uncomfortable, but I know if I surrender, the discomfort never lasts. We have evidence of this, right? We look in our past, we go, okay, I was uncomfortable there. I learned that lesson. I tried something new. It was scary. Look at the output. Look at the new relationship I made, or look at the new idea that I had because of it.
Yeah.
It's like surrendering into new experiences is such a gift. Leaning into trying, leaning into other people, as you said, as a new way of doing things might feel uncomfortable at first, might feel like, oh, I can't do it on my own. I thought I should be able to. But the outcome, surrendering the outcome is always, bigger than the discomfort, I think.
Yeah, 100%. There's so much transformation waiting on the other side of fear. You just got to go through fear because you're about to meet a new version of yourself right on the other
I
side.
love that.
And I
Yes.
always say, like, I will no longer let fear keep me a stranger to my future self. So you
Oh
just
my
got
God,
to
that's
go
wise.
through it.
I love that.
It's
I
really
love
not that scary. You mentioned intuition, which I love this word. Some people get, second guess themselves so much. Like,
Yeah.
is this a crazy thought? Is this my intuition? How do you teach people to trust their intuition and follow their voice or the signs from the universe?
Great question. I'm going to bring up another tarot archetype. We just talked about the Hanged Man. I'm going to bring up the High Priestess. She is the deck's queen of intuition. She is the divine feminine mystery. She holds the secrets of the moon. She is the feminine archetype who guides women through the maiden, mother, crone, these thresholds we cross as we age and develop. Whether you have children or not, you can up level into the archetype of the mother energy. So I always think about the high priestess when we talk about intuition, and she sits on this throne and she's just still. She's just still. She's so solid. She doesn't doubt herself. She's learned to listen in. And I think if we actually take a moment to get still and put our phone down and stop listening to, people we don't even know on Instagram, stop comparing ourselves, stop listening to the voices that surround us in our own homes, right? Who each want different things from people. But if we take the time to just get quiet and listen in, typically most people feel their intuition in their gut, right? In their bellies or their solar plexus. Some people get their intuition in thoughts or images, but most of us feel it in our gut. And if you look at your life and you go, okay, where did I maybe make a decision that wasn't for my highest good? Or where did I take a wrong turn? If you go back to those instances and you really look at how those decisions were made, it's almost always 99.99%. If you didn't listen to your gut, that's where you made the mistake, or that's where you made the choice that took you off course, or that's where you wound up with the boyfriend who, gaslit you or whatever. There was the inner voice that said, hey, don't, don't do it.
Yeah.
We bypassed it. We thought, no, I could work it out. I could make them change. Maybe it will be different. But it's always that inner gut. So I do a lot of work with people to go into the past and think, okay, where was there evidence when you listened to that gut feeling and everything unfurled for you in a beautiful way?
Yeah.
Where's the evidence that when you didn't listen or when you ignored it or bypassed it, things went a little awry? And that people go, oh, intuition is not some super esoteric concept.
Right.
It's a practical thing that I can feel in my body. And that is kind of how I approach intuition. You can feel it, but then you have to get your mind to align with the feeling and go with what your gut tells you. It's so cliched, go with your gut, but it's cliched for a reason because it's true.
It's so true.
It's
And,
just true.
it's so true. And like a decade ago, I remember talking to somebody about this and they're like, well, gut is spelled tug backwards and your gut always tugs you in the direction. And I'm like, how have I never thought that those three
Yeah.
letters?
I've
But
never seen that either.
it always tugs you in the direction you're supposed to go. You just have to trust yourself. And
That's
that's
so
the thing is
smart.
like, I don't know why so many of us, or what happens through life, that we just start to trust all the outside voices. We start to
Right.
trust all the external noise and the voices, but we don't like give ourselves any credit to like trust ourselves, because there's such power in that. Like,
Totally.
I
Totally.
mean, once you connect to that, I
Yeah.
feel like really there's no stopping you.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
really isn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
But if we think
well,
about it, it's sort of like, this wasn't the education that we were raised with.
yeah,
I mean, culturally, right?
yeah,
Culturally, it has been about external validation. What grades do you get?
mhm,
What job do you get? What praise do you get? And so we kind of learn, well, praise feels good. Okay,
yeah,
cool. External validation feels good. So we do learn to put that onus on the external.
yeah,
But I think now we are, I think this generation, our generation of parents, we are raising our kids with lots of different conversations about intuition. What's your plan? What are your ideas? Not just
yeah,
this is how you should do it.
yeah. No, 100%. Um, I know for me, like I just being the parent that parenting, like just be giving my kids the childhood that I didn't have and being the parent that I didn't have. Like it's just, I don't know, little me will pop up and be like, okay, little Carrie will say like to big Carrie, let's do it. Let's handle the conversation this way. Let's talk about it this way. Even like as simple as something like grades. My daughter got a C on a quiz the other day and she's a straight A student and she was so bothered by that. And initially I wanted to be like, what happened? What did you do wrong? And then I was like, I took a pen, I wrote a C on a piece of paper, and I was like, do you see this little letter on a piece of paper? Do you see who you are? And I want you to just look at this silly little letter on a piece of paper. Like that's all that it is. Like you are
You are
so
not
much more
the grade.
powerful than that little C on this piece of paper. So
Awesome.
I don't know. And by doing that, then it's almost like we sort of retrain ourselves, because I think
Yes.
we need a lot of that too.
Yeah, for sure. For
Just to
sure.
give ourselves some grace. I want to get into something because it might be a little. I never really talk about this, but you did mention sensuality, and
Yeah.
everyone listening, like self love and sensuality as magic. And
Mhm.
you spent so many years, helping women connect to their sensuality.
Yes.
How does embracing pleasure and confidence like just become a part of reclaiming our power?
Well, I always say put some pleasure on it. Like if you're struggling, put some pleasure on it. If you're in fear, put some pleasure on it. If you're fighting, put some pleasure on it. Um, Again, like and it's not just about sexual pleasure. It's about, when you're eating, tuning into the pleasure of it. When you're
Mhm.
laughing or watching a funny show, acknowledging, ooh, this feels pleasurable. Like it's all about raising the vibration, right? When you're in pleasure, you're going to be attracting more pleasure. When you're, present in the experience of fun, you're going to be attracting more fun. But as for actual pleasure magic and using pleasure and orgasm to heighten your magic, to heighten your manifestation. Orgasms are life force, right? Our sexuality is our life force. It's what we're all created from.
Yeah.
And yet,
True.
our systems and culture over the last thousands of years have put so much stigma on it and taboo on it. But it really is our innate right to experience pleasure, to experience life force. And so if we have a dream or a goal or we're working on a spell, and then we put our orgasm on it, we put our pleasure on it, we infuse our intention with that incredible release of joy and experience that radiates throughout our whole body. Well, what is it doing to that intention? It's lighting it up,
Yeah.
it's filling it up, right? With more energy, with more life force. And then as our intentions have more energy and more life force, it's like the universe is like, oh, I can see that. Let me go bring that to life. So that's how I see it.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I'm sure there's science behind it too,
Yeah.
but for me, it's like it's the evidence. It works. When
Yeah.
I use pleasure magic and I add that energy on top of my spells, it's like, oh, it happens faster. That's for sure.
I love that. There's just so many elements to adding magic to your life.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, the manifesting, the intuition, the self love, the sensuality. I mean, there's so much. You mentioned tarot because you brought up a couple cards just now. Like,
Yes.
can you explain to people exactly what is tarot just besides pulling cards? Like
Yeah,
what is it? What kind of tool is it? And
sure.
how do you what do you love most when you're doing readings with people?
So tarot is a system that's been around for several hundreds of years. There's some mixed stories about where it originated, but mostly it came out of Italy as just an actual social card game, and then evolved into a
Oh
system of
wow.
divination. The classic tarot is 78 decks. There's lots of oracle decks as well. The actual classic tarot system has 22 major arcana cards. The major arcana cards are these archetypes: the hanged man, the high priestess, the empress. These big archetypes in which we can gain wisdom and knowledge about the big things that happen in our life, right? Or the
Yeah.
big things that we latch onto or get stuck in or grow through. And then there's four suits, just like a regular deck, but they're cups, wands. Cups is emotion, wands is fire, passion, purpose.
Hmm.
Pentacles is earth, it's our home life, our work life, our material life. And then swords, which is air, our thoughts, our creativity, our actions. And so when you're pulling tarot and you ask a question, there's a million ways to do tarot. And what I love about it is that every practitioner gets to kind of do it in their own way.
Yeah.
But you can pull a 3-card spread, you can do a 10-card spread, you can do a single card pull. And it's taken me years. I've been deep in study of the actual tarot for about 5 years with different
Wow.
masters, with different books, with different courses. And so I have arrived at my own way of reading, but it can also be as simple as buying a deck, waking up, getting your journal out, asking a question, and looking in the guidebook. You
Okay.
don't have to be a master to read tarot. You don't have to be a master to glean wisdom from it. And really, it's just a tool for insight and self discovery.
Okay.
Some people use it who have psychic abilities, they use it in a future predictive way. I do not. Although sometimes the cards will be like very clear, like, oh, this is coming. Are you aware of that? But yeah, I mean, I pull cards every day. What do I need to know? What's the energy of today? Or how can I make this decision? Or how can I heal this, discomfort that I might be experiencing with a friend? You just get into the energy of it. You drop in, you pull a card. What does it mean to you? What is the symbolism on the card? What
Yeah.
direction is the figure on the card looking? Are they looking in the past? That could be an indicator that you're too hung up on a story you're telling yourself about the past. Are they looking to the future? Are they looking straight ahead? What are they doing with their hands? Are their hands open? Are their hands tight fisted? Are they crossing their heart? Oh, maybe I've been a little bit closed off to listening to my truth or hearing someone else's. So there's a million ways to
Okay.
read the tarot. And again, you do not have to be an expert to buy a deck and drop in and explore.
Okay. Oh, I'm so excited with my session with you. I cannot wait.
It's going to be great.
Oh my gosh, I'm so looking forward to it. You mentioned about like your day pulling cards like every day. What is your day like? Like you're a mother, you're a business owner, you're with magic and spells. Like what does a day look like for Dana like when you wake up in the morning? How do you balance this? How do you stay in your vibration and be present for your clients with your magic and your spells, but you're also running a business, you're also a mother, like
Yeah.
how do you set yourself up each day?
Well, I'm a very organized person. So, every week starts on Sunday night with like a full mapping out of the
I love
calendar.
that.
I need to see, I need to know, I need to be able to block my time because I also need a lot of rest. And I don't get all my rest at night. So most days I'll like I would say 3 or 4 out of 7 days a week, I have like a little micro nap scheduled in there. So I'm very conscious about my rest and about my energy. That's for
That's
sure.
amazing.
But I wake up and I'm a mom. I wake up, I hustle the kids through breakfast, backpacks, car ride, all of that. I make time for exercise. And then if I have a client, I definitely take about an hour before they arrive to set the space. I dust. I have this little magical mini broom. I dust everything. I cleanse the space. I use some Palo Santo and smoke. I cleanse my cards. And I make sure the space feels really, really good. And that my energy is really, really good. And that my intuition is strong before someone comes in. I usually don't take more than one client a day just because the sessions are long. Everyone's like, do you just offer like a quickie, like a mini? And I'm like, I know I should, but right now the sessions are long and juicy and deep, and it's the way I like it. Although I imagine that, in the future I will come up with shorter options. If I have an event coming, I might take a few hours in that day to map out the event, to write a script, to build a ritual. It's every day is different. And I'm still finding my flow. The next 10 days I think are too busy, which is like, leads me to think, oh, maybe I'm being too opportunistic, saying yes to things that are coming in without seeing the big picture. And yet I'm not judging. I'm saying yes because I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
And this is also a year of freedom. I just exited my previous business and I said, for this full year, I just want to let it flow. I'm very type A in business. I love to go big. I love to, one to many. But this year I said I just really kind of want to be one to one, do small group events, let it flow, let it see. And then at the end of that year, this year, look at what lit me up. What did I enjoy? What felt impactful for others? And then, put together the next phase. Of course, I want to write more books, and do bigger workshops and whatnot. But I'm also like, I'm really happy to be taking this year to just be super present and see what comes and see what's alive. It's very different for me, and I'm really enjoying it.
I love that. That's beautiful. And what a gift to yourself to do that. And then to also pause towards the end of the year and reflect and see what I think so many of us need to ask ourselves like that. What lit us up this year?
Yeah.
And focus more on that.
Yes. Yes.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I would like to end this conversation if you are interested in doing this, like, do you have, for everyone listening, is there like one spell or message or affirmation that you could share with everyone today listening to invite more magic into their life starting today?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, so there's a spell that I worked for a really long time. It's very, very simple. Let me just take a moment to write it down. Okay. Yeah. So, I used this spell as I was, for many years actually, as I was trying to figure out a way to exit my business and sell it and transition into this new life that I have created. And there were some real scary times, right? Like I referred to my my midlife crisis, rebirth. It was like everything was happening at once in my early and mid 40s, like personal crisis, major business challenges and trying to shift that. And I had really adopted this idea of like, if I am connecting with source, right? Mm-hmm. If I believe that I'm protected from chaos, from harm, from, that these challenges are here, but they can't destroy me. If I am focused on an open road ahead of me, if I believe that I can do anything I set my mind to, right? And that the world is my oyster, which I've always believed. And if I am clear about my dreams and patient with the amount of time that it will take, that I know I can see it, I can smell it, I can taste it, I can hear it, I can feel it, I knew I would get there. So the spell was very, very simple. And I usually write very long, ridiculous, very long spells. But this one was very simple. and I planted some seeds in a flower pot just outside my kitchen door. And every day I would water these seeds and I would say, I am protected, I am connected, the road is open, my dreams are chosen. I am protected, I am connected, the road is open, my dreams are chosen. And I would just water these seeds every day. And then the seeds would start to grow, right? And the flowers would start to bloom. I am protected. I am connected. The road is open. My dreams are chosen. And it was being in that energy that really, and I worked this spell forever. And in many different ways. And it was like a guiding light to me. And so I would say, that's a simple spell that anyone can do. If you're dreaming about a new path, visualize that open road, know you're protected, know you're connected, practice that connection with source or whoever it is that you pray to, and choose your dreams.
Oh, I cannot think of a better way to end this conversation. That was so powerful. And I'm actually going to start that little spell today because that's something so powerful and just connects you to yourself and everything else. And it really is, everyone listening, it really is that simple.
It is.
It's really that simple, yet so powerful.
Thank you.
Dana, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your magic with us. And I cannot wait to be in your magical space next week. And I don't even know how you could offer mini sessions because I feel like people would be like, well, can't you just do a mini? And then once you start, you're like, oh, no, the session's over. And they're going to be like, but what about that? And what about that? And what about that? And what about this? And I just don't even understand how you could do a mini anything with you. But
yeah, me either. I might just have to surrender to that.
Exactly. My gosh. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
How can everyone find you?
Yeah, Instagram is pretty much the best way at Dana Myers XOXO or my website, danabmyers.com. Just DM me and we can connect.
Thank you so much, Dana.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you in person.
Thank you for joining me for this week's episode of Surviving Roots. I hope it gave you something meaningful to carry with you. Let's keep this conversation going. Find me on Instagram at cari.fund, where I'll share more from the show. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs it. And remember, we are the choices that we make.